Now is NHS GP Dr. David Lloyd. Thank you very, very much. Dr. David, two big issues to get stuck into there. Firstly, why is our NHS not a proper 7-day service? You know, being ill doesn't discriminate depending on what day of the week it is.
Well, I think that's an invidious thing to suggest. It is a 7-day service. I'm afraid I'm very elderly now, and I had to go in as an emergency this year to the NHS on a Sunday morning. I had absolutely superb treatment. There is no doubt at all that the NHS is still working 7 days a week. And it has always been the way that things work is that at the weekends you're not doing routine work because it's all packed in during the week. I think as we're trying to get rid of this backlog, increasingly some of my patients are being treated routinely at the weekends. They're going in for scans, they're going in for minor procedures. So we are picking up things at the weekend. Hospitals are looking busier. But no, it is a 7-day service and always will be a 7-day service.
Well, just from anecdotal evidence, so that's my family and speaking to a lot of people I know as well, when they've had relatives who've got ill at the weekends, for example, they have, or been in hospital for a prolonged period of time, pretty much everyone I've spoken to says they've noticed a bit of a drop-off at the weekends. That is the view of Dr. Andrew Stein. He says that things that you alluded to there, such as maybe more routine things, so more routine operations, CT scans, he says, are not taking place with the regularity that he would like at the weekend. If we're going to get past this backlog, which is roughly 7.07 million patients currently, in England alone, I believe that is, waiting for various different NHS treatments, it's going to have to be exactly the same as a weekend as it is midweek. Surely that's not too much for people to ask, is it?
So I think that's an enormous topic. If you want to have a well-beating NHS like we used to, and like we deserve to, and like we need for GB UK Limited to actually survive in this world, we've got to invest so that people are there to work at weekends. Totally agree with that. We really do need to have a functioning NHS so that we can compete on the world stage. If we privatise the NHS, as some people on the right would like us to do, we'll end up spending many percentages more of our GNP than we do now. We will end up like the United States, where they spend 20% of their gross national product on health for a worse service. We cannot privatise the NHS. We need a proper nationally funded health service so that the industry and the companies in GB UK can remain competitive on the world.
Well, yeah, I suppose. I mean, the thing is, for a lot of people who maybe, aren't massively across it, I mean, I've got to be honest with you, I'm not 100% completely up to speed on exactly the pros and cons of a privatised service versus the one that we've got now, which is exactly why I get people like you on. Just quickly, yes, a lot of people
is heading for. Yeah.
Yes, and, as I was saying, what I think a lot of people are concerned about now is if they can't get routine care, they're waiting absolutely ages in A&E. If their elderly relative has a stroke, they wait a heck of a long time for an ambulance. They don't necessarily go care at a weekend. And, there's potentially nurses' strikes and they can't get referred to for cancer treatments, etc. Then people might start to be wondering, well, we'll just try something else anyway then. I don't really care what it is. Let's just privatise it. But on that issue then, if privatisation isn't the answer, surely there has to be some look at the way that the money is divvied out. So if we as a nation can't afford to be spending too much more on the NHS than we're already doing, then that money has to be spent better. Are there layers and layers and layers of management structures there that can be refined?
We have one of the lowest spends on management in any health service in the world. Again, if you look at the United States, an average GP will have 10 or 20 people working in the back office just trying to get the bills paid. I have nobody working in my back office except for managers who are running our service to make sure the frontline services work as they should. So we are a very efficient organisation. Now, the answer is, it's about priorities, and everybody knows, I'm sorry everybody's going to say these things over and over again. We have got to prioritise the things in our budget that are being shown historically and by proper research that actually make a difference to GB UK.
Could I just ask, do you, as you're an NHS GP, do you do private work as well?
I don't do any private work at all. I work 5 days a week because I'm semi-retired now. I work 5 days a week for the NHS, and that is it. That used to be 7 days.
What do you make of people who do GPs especially, who do private work as well as NHS work? Some people say, well, actually, if they just worked in the NHS, then maybe we could clear a backlog quicker.
I think that's a very difficult question that you need to ask patient people who work privately. I think that I'm ideologically opposed to working privately, and so I wouldn't ever dream of doing that myself. But I do. There is a mixed market, and this country is a free country, so you can do what you want. But the answer is not to totally privatise the whole thing. Otherwise, we will really be bankrupt.
OK, all right. Oh, and just very lastly, very lastly, very quickly, what do you make of this statement from a top NHS A&E doctor, Dr. Andrew Boyle? He's saying that he's doing everything he can to keep his elderly relatives out of the NHS because he thinks it's like a lobster trap. He says, I mean, is it just like a death trap if you're elderly?
Not at all. If I have one of my elderly relatives who is seriously ill, I would much prefer them in an NHS hospital than anywhere else. It's I'm afraid, I think most people I know say that they get fantastic care at the moment. Once you get through the backlog, once we've got through this backlog, and they actually get into hospital, our patients get an amazing service, and I can vouch for that both personally as a patient and as a GP who's seen the way my patients are being treated.
OK, all right, Dr. David Lloyd, look, thank you very much.